And we are live. Are we there? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Rochelle T. Parks. I am your health motivated guys. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Talks. We're excited. We're super excited. We have some great panelists today. I'd like to introduce you to none other than Michael L. Parks, aka Pops. He's with us today. We have Dr. Dee.
Hey, y'all.
The Elite MD.
The Elite MD. And then the star of the show is Miss Consuela Harris.
Yay!
All right. Welcome.
Listen, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be amazing, guys. So just wanted to remind you all, just give you a little feedback, a little let's go back to a little history lesson of what we talked about on our very first Mindset Talks with Pops and Dr. Dee. If you all can remember, the topic was to live and not die, right? And basically the choice is yours, right? To live and not die. And so we talked about our experience with my Michael L. Parks. Pops is my husband, for all you all who don't know. Talked about our experience where April 5th, I found myself taking him to the emergency room because he had DKA, diabetes ketoacidosis. And so little did I know he was about this close from not being with us, like being in a diabetic coma. And the story goes, the doctors thought he would be on medication for the rest of his life. And he said no, right? He said, no, I will not. And so we came home April 9th, and make a long story short, the last time he took medication was April 17th or 18th? 17th. Yeah, 17th was the last time he was on medication, and he was taking insulin and metformin, and that's the last time. And so we basically crafted a plan, and we talked about it during the last video, during the last Mindset Talks. We crafted a plan that would reverse his diabetes, basically type 2 diabetes, lower his blood sugar, stabilize him, lower his A1C. And so God willing, and then I guess in another month or so, he'll go back and they'll clear him, boom, say you're good to go. But he's no longer on medication. As far as we're concerned, he's no longer diabetic, right? Amen. And so as far as that label being removed, we'll see in a month. But as far as we're concerned, he's no longer diabetic. And from that, we just said, you know what? There's no way God can spare you like this, being so close to death, and then spare you, and we not share this with other people. So from that, we launched a diabetes coaching program. And we've brought on 4 people during our program, and they're all, praise God, having phenomenal results. And so before we launch off into that, I just want to give you some stats, just remind you of just like how crucial of a topic in diabetes and how it's affecting us as the whole world, really, not just as a country, but the whole entire population. So let me just give you some stats real quick. So it says in 2018, 34.2 million Americans, or 10.5% of the population, had diabetes. Okay, listen, that's in 2018, 34.2 million. Okay, now listen to this. Of the 34.2 million adults with diabetes, 26.8 million were diagnosed and 7.3 million were undiagnosed. And so we firmly believe, my husband and I, we talk about it all the time, we firmly believe there are people walking around right now diabetic and don't know it, and definitely pre-diabetic and don't know it, right? And so talk about new cases. 1.5 million Americans are diagnosed with diabetes every year. 1.5 million are diagnosed. Okay, now pre-diabetes in 2015, notice this is 2020, but in 2015, 88 million Americans age 18 and older had pre-diabetes. And we're going to talk about like exactly what that means, and so people will know. So let me just give you this stat. Diabetes was the 7th leading cause of death in the United States in 2017, based on 83,564 death certificates and listen to this, in which diabetes was listed as the underlying cause of death. Okay. In 2017, diabetes was mentioned as a cause of death in a total of 270,702 certificates. That's huge. Now, those are big numbers, but this is tell you how much is not reported, right? Diabetes have found, studies have found that only 35 to 40% of people with diabetes who died had diabetes listed anywhere on their death certificate, right? So that just tells you how much is not reported. Okay. Now, just want to give you this because this is important too. Cost of diabetes. It says the total cost of diagnosed diabetes in the United States in 2017 was $327 billion. That's huge. And $237 billion was for direct medical costs, and $90 billion was in reduced medical productivity. So I just want to give you all some stats about diabetes and why this is so crucial. And for the folks who, the people like Consuelo who decide to, do this program and reversing, not only are they just potentially extending their life, but saving some money, some money, and not just her money, but taxpayers' money, you know. And so it's crucial. So I just wanted to lay that out there. Pops, I'm gonna kick it over to you, and you go for it.
Okay, I got my picture of remembrance, as you can see. Well, I want to say one thing since the last video that we did that I shared with the world, or whoever was listening, that all of the different things that happened with me, as far as the high blood sugars in excess of 600, the A1C of 15, and what have you, and also a day before leaving the hospital, my short range vision became blurry, and it was basically like looking in a swimming pool with no goggles on if you're underwater. That's how bad it looked close up. And so over the course of since leaving the hospital, I was complaining to the doctors that the medication was messing my eyes up. And actually, they were saying that because of my unstable blood sugars, I had to basically get my blood sugars regulated in order for my sight to return. So within 2 to 3 weeks, my sight began to come back. And shortly thereafter, I felt like I was all the way back, but that was just me. But about a week ago, I went to the optometrist and got a actual official eye exam. And the doctors told me that I did not even need glasses. So that right there, to me, I mean, like I already knew, like I could see well. Like I'm up on the computer right now, and before I wouldn't be able to even see you on the screen. But now that I don't even need glasses, and I go from not being able to see my computer screen right in front of me to not needing glasses.
Yes.
So that right there, I just feel like that's just amazing to be able to be me, if that makes sense, and not in a braggadocious kind of way, but in a humbling kind of way that God chose me to actually experience this and then be in a position where someone can use the example that I set for their lives and to help their lives to be better and to to actually save their lives. And so on that note, I just want to Pastor Consuelo, just ask you basically, what was things like prior to this, to coming alongside of you, and then how did you come to be with us? What was it like before, and how did you come to be with us in this program?
Well, before it was like I was basically swimming in the dark. I just, pretty much took what the doctor told me and took the medication, but I didn't know, where I was as far as the numbers and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things, like when I logged in with your mindset talks, one of the things that kind of registered with me was the fact that you were like, no, I'm not going to be on this for the rest of my life, because I have heard, well, my doctor said that, you know, it was irreversible. And so
Wow.
that when you were like, you came up, I was like, what? So let me, you know, jump on this. And then the other thing, you know, that hit home is when you talked about meeting with the nutritionist. And I knew I felt like, you know, whatever what they were telling me, I was like, no, I'm not going to go get any shakes and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Give me real food. You know, I don't want to go get a protein, whatever, and, you know, spend all that. So just hearing you say all of that stuff, I was just like, oh yeah, I want in, even though I didn't have, you know, the diabetes diagnosis, you know, I kind of wanted to get ahead of that. I didn't want to go into that. So I was like, let me jump on board and see what's going on. So, but when you were talking about those things, it definitely resonated with me, especially not being on medication, because I don't even want to take my multivitamins. So I definitely don't.
Better tell it.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what was your A1C when you had been diagnosed with pre-diabetes?
Pre-diabetes. Yeah.
It was a 6.4.
Mm-hmm. And so, Dr. D, so what is the numbers? What do they have to be pre-diabetic and also to be considered diabetic?
It's up to 6.4. We start diagnosing people with diabetes with a HbA1c. A1C. Now they said they know she a doctor. She said HbA1c. We just know it's A1C. As a 6.5 or greater. What I wanted to ask Consuela too was, when you went to the doctor's office before you got into the program, when you went to the doctor's office and they gave you the medication and you said you didn't know what your numbers were, when you went in there, what was the interaction with you and the doctor like when they just prescribed you a medication? Did they give you any, I know before perhaps you had gone and then you said, okay, I'm gonna give 90 days, let me get things together. But how was that conversation even when you first started going to the doctor and they said, hey, this might be an issue for you?
Well, they never gave me numbers. I didn't know numbers. Believe it or not, I only learned what my initial numbers were after talking with Pops, because I didn't know. And I went back in to like, you know, they do the online chart now and everything. So I went on there to look to see what the numbers were, but I never knew what the numbers were. All I was told was, you know, you're pre-diabetic and, you know, you need to take this medication. And I was like, well, no, give me 90 days and let me see before, you know, I could take, because the other thing, you know, I was stressed and it was just so much going on and my blood pressure kept being elevated. And I was like, but I've never had high blood pressure before. So, you know, give me my 90 days. So, after, you know, went through a whole bunch of stuff. So, you know, once the 90 days came, you know, they were just like, you know, it's still, you know, at the 6.4. So, well, they didn't say at the 6.4, they just said I was diabetic. And so then I went on and I agreed to get on the metformin. And at that time, I just thought that was something that I'd just be taking forever, because she was basically saying that it was irreversible. But like I said, after talking with Pops and Coach Rowe, I literally went in, because I heard him mention the glucose meter, and I heard Coach Rowe say, so then I went out literally and got the glucose meter. And so then I was talking to my husband about it, and then we were like, well, what is it supposed to be? Because see, they never even glucose. They never mentioned a glucose meter, nothing. I'm just like I said, swimming in the dark. And so he looked it up. He looked it up online, my husband, and he was like, okay, the numbers are supposed to be. And so then when we were getting the numbers, I was like, well, this can't be right, because I'm sending them to Coach Rodham too. And I'm like, you know, they're saying, you know, that I'm pre-diabetic. So then, of course, that's when Pops kicked in, and he's like, no, you need to go and tell them that you need to be off this.
Yeah. So that number Consuela is talking about is normally 80 to 100, and we call it a random glucose. So when or fasting in the morning is still the same, like when you're doing the finger prick. But that glucometer that she's talking about is just the normal pinprick of your finger. The blood goes into a little small device. There's a little strip that goes into the device and then it reads your blood sugar, just for people who are just like, what's a glucometer? So it's just those normal little machines that we use either at the hospital or you can have a personal one, which I think is great for people that I know they don't mention this. So can you tell them what medication they prescribe before I go in and explain anymore? What medication did they give you?
They gave me metformin.
Yeah. So when people are pre-diabetic, and I think we talked about this. I don't want to keep repeating what we said on the last video, but if you go back to the last video, it's a great way to get some substance of like all the things that we're talking about. But pre-diabetic, when I was talking last time, if you come in with high blood pressure, and I know you said that, things were stressful, but if you come into the office, right, with high blood pressure, then you automatically get screened for diabetes. So you know what I mean? It's like one of those algorithms that we use. So when we say, hey, diet, exercise, and we give you the 90-day, we give you that trial, exercise, diet. What are some things that you can use? Which I apologize. You should have known your numbers, and you should have known what tools that you can use. And I just want to be one of the people to say, hey, I'm going to stop and pause and ask, is there anything I can explain more? Do you understand what diet and exercise when we say it? Do you know what your numbers are so you can know what your numbers should be when you come back? These simple questions when we're interacting with people at the office is probably would have been beneficial for you, so you know which route you were headed. You know what I'm saying? But metformin, when we give it, another thing that I've learned with Coach Rowe is I should be asking each person, if I'm going to give you medication that can possibly lower your blood sugar and you can have a hypoglycemic event, it's probably important that you have a monitor at home so that you can know these symptoms. And I'm huge right now on family support and them being educated on what are some symptoms, especially we talked about hyperglycemia, but hypoglycemia is also some issues. People get confused, they get lethargic, they get fatigued, you just think they're going to lay down. So these are certain things that we need to make sure, that we're having a conversation with our loved ones when we go on medication. One of the things that I just wanted to chit chat about, because in our community, our culture, Coach Rowe was just telling us a story, but people don't want the people next to them to know I have high blood pressure, I'm on medication, or I have ailments and I'm taking medications, but they should know. I know people that hide their prescriptions. They don't want people this conversation does not happen. So I'm so grateful for Mindset Talks, because there's a lot of people that are saying, this is my secret. I'm dealing with this. I'm going to figure it out, on my own. And the actuality is that you're putting yourself at risk, because had not Coach Rowe knew what she knew, Pop could have been in a graver danger than even when he went to the hospital. So it's important for us to say, hey, listen, I went to the doctor's office today. They prescribed me a new medication. The side effect could be that I could be hypoglycemic. So these are some things that you need to know, that if you see me doing these things, please say it or call 911 or whatever the case may be. So having those glucometers are awesome too.
Church finger. I wanted to live there a little bit longer because I want to say, first of all, I appreciate what you said, Dr. Dede, as far as on behalf of the doctors and their lack of information as far as sharing with Consuela what the full gravity of the situation. Because the problem that I have, and I expressed my frustration with Consuela. I say, I'm not mad at you. I'm just, and when I was talking to her, I was kind of getting, my voice was kind of getting raised. And I was just telling her I wasn't mad at her. I was just very, very frustrated because the situation that she was in, and we call it flying blind. But the thing is, it wasn't because of her. We've spoken to several people who are flying blind intentionally because they chose not to do it, and they knew. Like Consuela did not know. And so for her to be diagnosed with pre-diabetes and to be at a 6.4 knocking on the door of diabetes, and to be just told you pre-diabetic and send her on her merry little way, And she's come back in 90 days for what? What do you expect to see 90 days later? She has no way of monitoring her situation. And then when I was in the hospital, they were telling me you need to change your diet and you need to exercise. What does that even look like? I mean, for each person, you can ask 100 people, and their idea of eating right is different. And to me, when you're talking about eating right, it's really like, unfortunately, the way I see it is, it's eating right for me. And so that's not right. Even though when you say it's what's right for me, and then it's what you say what's right for you, and everybody says it's right for them, it's all wrong. Because there's really no standard of what right eating is. So when they tell you whatever you think it is, that's what it is, and you go home and do it to the best of your abilities, and you hit a brick wall because you don't really know what to do, and you like throw your hands up. And I was told, and I'm sure you know this, that a lot of people, when they go on insulin and these diabetic medications, it's very, very hard to lose weight with the medication. It really works against you. The medication works against you as far as trying to lose weight. And then also it works against you, particularly with metformin, it works against you to get off of it because you put your life in danger. The more you do the right things, the more you put your life in danger. So it works. It's like, to me, it's an endless cycle. So how in the world could Consuela ever get off if she didn't even know what to do? And if she didn't even know, she had no barometer. It's like driving a car with no odometer on it, and you don't even know how fast you're going, and you're going to get a ticket. Because you don't know, because you don't have the right reason. But anyway, I'm not upset. I just want you to know.
No, I feel like you guys are the voices of people, right? That go to the doctor's office. It's crowded. There's a lot of people in there. The doctors have a lot to do in a short amount of time. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, there's a lot going on, a lot of things for them to remember and everything else. So I think we fall short sometimes at education, because we only have this much time. What I do know too, though, is that when we give information that we have, I'm even not sure that I agree with it. Like if you go to the diabetic resource website, some of the things that they're saying is okay to eat is probably not the best things to be eating for diabetics. You understand what I'm saying? And in the hospital, what we do, because it's a collaboration, we do what Pop's experience, right? We say, okay, we're going to have the nutritionists come by because there's so much that has to be done, right? So we're dependent on those nutritionists to give us the quality information that you need. And so I've also heard, that is probably not the best things for you, However, that's why I was telling Pop in the last video, I'm enthusiastic about you guys' motivation, Consuela, and that's what I think that we should get to next is like, how did you get to the point where you like, man, I'm going to rock this. This is what I'm going to do. But my thing is like, you are saying, no, I know more information now. I listened to a video. I got motivated. I started doing some research. Pop said it's working. I see it. I believe it. And you went with Bible information, and we'll talk about that as we keep going. But these are the things that people need to hear, basically, so they can know, hey, I'm going to have to take my own faith in my hands. I can't just depend on we have to do our job. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
We gave an oath. I have to do my job. However, I need you to want to live. I need you to want to live, because a lot of the people, to finish the sentence, a lot of people say, I'm not changing. I'm not all that exercise you're talking about, Doc. I ain't fitting to do that. That's why we say diet and exercise, right? Because they're saying, listen, I can't get that up. I can't give up my soda now. I drink 3 Cokes a day. It ain't happening. You know what I mean? So then the doctors are tied at hand, and they've heard this story, right? This merry-go-round of why people just won't choose life. And so what they know to do to save a life is to provide medication in the algorithm. And when they get serious, like you guys do, I prayerfully hope that your support comes. But I think, Consuela, too, like, tell us, like, how did you say, okay, this is it, I'm gonna choose life?
Well, number one, I don't like taking medication, so that was definitely a motivator. Like I text Coach Rowe one day, and I was like, "Look, is there a liquid vitamin?" So so that's number one. Then number two, like Pops was saying, once I started looking into the drug metformin and seeing, the side effects and all those kinds of things, then I was just like, I don't want to be on this and then go and get on something else to combat whatever happens to my body because I'm on this. And my friend and I, we were just talking about how, growing up, you see the older people with all those pill bottles and stuff, and you think that that's just a part of age, but it's not. It does not have to be that way. I call her my adopted daughter. I was just telling her that about, her uncle. I was like, he doesn't have to be that way. He can literally change what he's eating and get off of that stuff. And so I think I'm motivated too to help other people. So that's the one thing. So I wanted to, do stuff for myself so I could, help somebody else out as well. But I didn't know what I didn't know, until now. And so I have definitely been educated. I didn't even know about the hypoglycemic episode. I didn't even know that it could do those things. So I have been very educated. And I think that when you are educated on it, like the way that I work, when you know the science of something, it helps me to know the science, why it's doing what it's doing. And so then to know the counter science of what it can do if you continue on, all of that, just helped me. But I just, I wanted to feel better, and I didn't want, and the other thing is, you talked about the labels and stuff. I'm one of those people, like Coach Rowe tell you, it takes me a lot to be on this camera right now. I'm one of those people, I'm behind the scenes. I don't like, I'm an introvert, and so I didn't talk to people about stuff. But if it wasn't for Pops sharing his story, I was like, I owe it, to somebody else to talk about it. So that has kind of been the motivation to do it and do it right.
Yeah. Is it an accountability, or is it what do you think it is, like being in the program that's helping you to stay steady?
Definitely first the education. Because you can't, if you don't know where you're going, you're just driving aimlessly. You can be on the road for forever and not know where you're going. So now, with the education, I understand where I'm going. I know the signs that I'm supposed to see along the way to get to my destination. And so, that was, I'm telling you, when I heard Pop say something about that nutritionist, and when I heard him say about, reversing that thing like that, I was just like this. It was light bulbs going off, because again, before, it's kind of almost like you feel a little hopeless, because you hear this thing like you're going to be on something for the rest of your life, and, and all that kind of stuff. And so then I think that if you're not educated and you don't know that you can reverse it, then you believe that, and you're just like, you just go along with it. It's life. Just like I said, when we see the older people with all the medication bottles, you think that's a part of getting older. But it's not. That's a myth. And that's something that kind of has to be broken in our community in particular.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Coach, I got to do my running. We're not telling you to stop your medication.
Oh. Yeah, we're not saying
we
that.
We are not saying to stop your medication. Please consult your physician. If you have questions and you want more information, definitely, reach out to Coach Rowe. But definitely, we're not saying change your regimen as you are now. There's a lot more that goes into this program than just saying, hey, I'm not taking medications no more, and poof. This is so, because I don't know, Coach, you got another question, but Consuelo, I wanted to ask you, like, what is the grind of the program? Like, how do you feel? Like, how's your life now in the program?
Well, it definitely takes some acclimation,
That's a good word. That's a good word.
like, it's a new, I felt like I enlisted into the military.
I love it.
So, but once you start, getting your routine down, you kind of get it down. But I'm gonna say this, you do have to purpose it in your mind. You have to really be intentional about doing the program, because it's kind of like one of those things that ain't for the weak. You kind of got to have your mindset made up. Because otherwise, because it's so different from your regular routine, you'll be like, man, forget this. I'm tired,
Yeah.
But if you have it, it's not hard. I'm gonna say that it's not hard. It's just you have to do it. You have to work it. And so if you don't have your mind made up that you're going to work it, then you will quit it. But
go ahead, man.
Oh, go ahead. I don't even know what I was about to say.
Coach Ro, I'm gonna turn it back over to you. I was just gonna add, like, some people come to the office and they like, oh, I did that. I tried it. It didn't work. You understand what I'm saying? And that's those people I feel like it's always like, I always hear ET in my head, right? He's like, that's that 70%, man.
Exactly.
You swear you doing it 100%,
you swear.
But you swear down. And then what we gonna do? Well, we can't tell you lying at the doctor's office.
Yeah. I can tell you though. I can tell you. It's kind of like when people say, when I say, okay, did you, just like this, well, fruits and vegetables, right? Okay, the fruit and veggie challenge. We're gonna do the fruit and you're like, oh yeah, I've done that before. I'm like, no, this is just fruit. No, I've done that before. And I'm like, okay, well then this should be easy. And then when they come do mine, they're like, oh, okay, you meant straight up fruits and vegetables. I'm like, well, that's what I said, and so that's what I said. So it's the same thing. People, I've come to realize, and Pops and I, we talk about this all the time. It's like, I mean, it's sad to say, but their word is not their word. I mean, like when you say you did it, to them, they meant kind of, sort of. You know what I mean? So when somebody tells me they did it, I'm thinking you did it, but they really mean, well, for the most part. You see? Exactly. So it's like, but for the most part. And so for this thing, we tell everybody up front, this is about extreme accountability. Consuelo, did we not say that? Extreme accountability? Mm-hmm. We said extreme accountability. It's like she said, it ain't for the faint of heart. It's extreme accountability because listen, extreme, we got to take extreme measures to get extreme results, right? You can't be hokey pokey. That's not it. I tell my, listen, I'm not really on excuses. I'm on execution, right? Mm-hmm. Because this is about life and death, right? And so we ain't got time to be playing with it. We ain't playing with it. That doesn't mean that the person is going to be perfect. We understand things happen, whatever, but we going into that thing thinking we're going to be perfect and, let the mishaps happen. But we're not saying, I'm not saying come into it thinking, well, I'm going to be lax. I'm going to do this. Well, you know what? We got a birthday party coming up. So I'm going to have some cake and no, you're not. No, you're not going to have cake. You know what I mean? We're not expecting you to have cake. I'll just say that. So this is about 90 days of extreme accountability so that you can reverse your situation, so we feel like we got the blueprint, and for those who have come aboard, they're experiencing, phenomenal results. I mean, we're talking, Consuela's only been diagnosed since this year, the beginning of this year, but we have people, as you'll see later on throughout the week, 10, 12 years, been diabetic. And so, and just been out there, not necessarily flying blind, but just, they're well aware of their numbers, but they had no idea of how to lower them, you know, until this program. And so I'm excited for everybody that decide to just take a chance. And we're humbled, you know, Pops and I, we're very humbled by just the opportunity to walk alongside each and every person. But go ahead, Pops. I see you had your hand up.
Church finger.
I saw the church finger.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch it back upon the extreme accountability piece, because I know that everyone who comes into the program, we let them know about it. But just saying it is not really enough. And that's what we're learning. We're learning that just saying it is not enough. And Consuela, she was speaking very openly about, you know, me asking her for her pics. You know, what a pics at? You know, and so the thing is, like, I take notes every day. I talk to myself every day. But what I wanted to say something about is, like, to try to liken it, kind of like a parable, liken it to, you know, how the word says God wants us to be holy. You know, he says, be holy because I'm holy. And so Rochelle said, we know that nobody is going to be perfect. We know that, but we should always strive for perfection, because that's what he wants us to do. And so the one of the notes I have on here is, like, we have what's called acceptable failure. It's almost like we just know, we accept the fact that we're going to fail. Acceptable failure to me should not happen, because that's where you make excuses and allowances for your shortcomings, instead of recognizing that this is not what I want to do. And so I've spoken to several people about this, and how I liken it to just being a drug addict. And I apologize if, you know, I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way, because it could be some people listening that could be struggling with substance abuse. But if you go into a treatment facility, fresh off of, you know, ODing or something, you don't go in there for a week and then go take another hit. And so that's what I liken it to. So if you're in this program and we're on the regimen, and then all of a sudden, you know, something happens, you know, you have a birthday or somebody has a cookout, then you slip up. That's not a slip up, you know? So to me, it's like, it has to be more important, whatever it is that the life, like we call it the low life. You are low, you in the low life now, Consuelo.
Right. You know,
you in the low life, you part of the low life now. And so some people think low life is a bad thing, but low life is, what we mean is, like, she's waking up under 100 every day. So that's the low life. So welcome to the low life, Consuelo.
Yay.
But the thing I want to hammer home is we should not accept failure in any form.
That's right.
And if we do fall short, it's just like the word says that if we confess our sins, the Lord is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us of all unrighteousness. And so, but when we quote unquote fall or slip, we're not saying, you know what, man, I messed up. You know, we're not saying that. We're just saying, you know, oh, it happens. You know, I'm not perfect. I think that's the wrong response.
Right.
We should, you know. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Consuelo.
I was going to say, yeah, you definitely have to own it. And at the end of the day, my advice to anyone who does the program would be to make a promise to yourself, you know, and keep your promise to yourself. Because if you're keeping your promise to yourself, then, you know, if you fail yourself, then it's hard to, you know, come back from that. But the more that you succeed, the more confident that you get, the more of the routine you get down, and then it becomes kind of second nature to you. You kind of know, like, I haven't even looked at my instructions, you know, in a while, because I know, you know, because so it's not, like we said, it's not for the weak at mind or heart. But once you get it, I mean, it's not hard either. It's just putting your mind to it and just saying, this is something. And then you got to understand, the reason why it has to be so extreme is because you're trying to conquer habits that have already been in there. You've developed these habits over years. So now you're trying to turn them around, you know, in a short period of time, or, you know, well, you're working on turning those habits that you've made over years around. So you can't just go in there doing you know, what you've always done or a little bit of what you've always done. You have to purpose it in your mind that this is what I'm going to do. And like you said, a slip up may come, you know. I love Coach Rose saying, you know, progress, not perfection. And as long as you're doing it, you know, you'll get really close to the perfection and the slip ups won't really happen. But you do have to have your mind made up. You know, you have to promise yourself, you know, make a covenant with yourself that this is what you're going to do for you. And you can't, you know, your why really can't be anybody else. Coach Rowe has the book behind her. You have to be the priority.
Yeah.
You know.
It is.
So, Consuela, how do you feel about the support that you're receiving in the program?
I feel great about it. Look, sometimes I'm like, man, I got to sit in this number. I got to do this break. I don't want to sit in this number, but I know if I don't, I know folks gonna be like, "Where your numbers?"
do you feel like you have, like, you know, you're alone by yourself, or
No,
do you feel like
absolutely not? And as a matter of fact, it's like family. Like, I know my husband is like, he knows who Pops is now, and he's never met Pops. He's been known Coach Rose. He knows Coach Rose's voice, you know, from the calls and everything. So, you know, it's definitely like family. It's not like anybody just, you know, brushing you off, you know, or, you know, saying, here, this is it, you do it. It's actually, you know, coached through. You're celebrated, you know, the motivation is there, you know, it's very supportive, very supportive. You feel heard.
That's
good.
So
That's good.
Consuela, just a little funny note. Did you ever prick yourself a second time? See, hold on, it might not be right. Let me send the second number.
And I'm like, this when I do it, I'm like,
hold on, let me write that on. Hold on, let me get it back.
Wow.
Look, I've done that before. I got some people, look, blood sugars at the hospital. I'm like, I don't like that. Hold on, let's just try that.
This ain't the same thing. Yeah.
Wow. It's funny. It's funny you say that, because I was somebody else that I'm coaching, and they were doing it, and they said they had they pricked themselves in a different finger, and they got a different number, and they would say, how is that possible? You know, and so it was probably like a 10-point difference, you know, and I was saying, well, it could be a number of things. You didn't clean your finger, you know, like if you touch something, you didn't clean your finger. Alcohol, yeah, it could be a number of things, whatever. She's like, well, I like the second number better, you know.
Use that one, boo. Just go ahead and use the better one.
Do the better number then.
The better number.
But yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Wow, I'm excited. So I'm watching the comments come through, and people are asking about what do they need to start the program, or asking the different things. And I would just say, set up an appointment, guys. We have the link that's going across the screen there, the little ticker. You can go on that link, or if it's moving too fast, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the link. And so you can set up just for a consultation, because honestly, like I said, during the consultation, you'll see if this program is right for you, and we'll see if you're right for the program, you know. So we have to be right for each other. But it will be myself, Pops, and whoever the person is. And so we kind of form a little trio here, and we kind of walk alongside you. It's still with my thing, walk alongside you, help you to achieve optimal health. Still,
that's right. That's right.
Still what we're
you know
doing.
What else I wanted to check in with you, Coach Ro? Like, which I'm so proud of you guys. Like I said, this is like a phenomenal team. This is, I mean, I know, Consuela, you probably feel like that too when they're like coaching you through, like God just dropped, you know, diamonds in my lap, because I really feel that way every time we're on the phone call together. But what I was going to ask you guys, like, Consuela, how do you feel about the extent of this program? Like, how do you feel like your life will change? How do you think it's going to add value? Because this is more of like you said, you're going to change your habits around, but it means that your habits are going to actually be new habits, or what you really thought was a good life is actually going to be a great life, a phenomenal life. So this is actually like the 90 days is kind of almost like a first step, right? Into like new beginnings. So I was just going to ask you like the longevity of what is being taught. And like you said, it's a step. You don't even look at your instructions anymore. So then now, how do you see yourself, over the next maybe 6 months or even years to come? Because what we don't want, right, is people to reverse just how you go good. You can go back, and then now, I'm giving you medications, and you're looking at me like, I don't need no medications, and I'm like, well, these numbers right here, let me give them to you. Right. So I just wanted to know, from your perspective, how do you see things?
I definitely see things as not going back. We this morning on our walk, we try to do different terrains. So I'm gonna liken it to that. We do different terrains, and so one terrain you're like, oh, I got that. This is nothing, And then we got on this other terrain that was very hilly and crazy and rocky today. And my adopted daughter, she was like, Mom, when did it become so hard to walk? So, I liken it to that. Like, I don't want to reverse, because then now it's going to be even harder, to get back on track, and then harder to get your mindset better. And then, you get to a point where you don't even trust yourself to do right. So that's where you don't want to go. You want to keep it, keep your focus on what matters most. And then, and keep after it and just make that your lifestyle. And that's what we were talking about this morning. Now, because we were talking about just over a year ago when we would work out, we'd go and do a HIIT workout, then we'll go walking, and then we'll, say, okay, let's go do another HIIT, later on. And then now it's like starting, over. Now we're just building up to a HIIT, and then, the walking again and stuff. And so that's what I liken it to. You get into this place and you don't want to go back. You don't want to, be shocked by the terrain. You want to
that's true.
All of it. So, you have to stay focused.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. What about, I'm about to ask you something now. How does your, I know it's only been since January that you've been diagnosed with pre-diabetes, but still on medication, because there are people out there who are pre-diabetic and not on medication. You were on, no, let me make a note, were on medication, not on medication today.
That's right.
But so you started, I think, May 17th, May 17th. And when was your last time taking medication? Do you recall?
My last time was May 31st. I had my doctor's appointment June 1st to get my labs and everything. And pretty much told my doctor then that, I want it off. And I had my glucometer with all of my numbers. So, now it's like, I know what I'm talking about. So you got to kind of listen, I got some evidence and stuff. And so I had all my numbers and everything. And then, she did my blood pressure. Then she did it a second time, like, let me make sure. And I'm like, yeah, my numbers are down. That place, she said, your blood pressure is excellent, and she was still kind of like, well, I'm going to, let's put in a prescription and wait on the labs to come back. And if you need it, pick it up. And if you don't, just leave it. So the labs came back, what was that, 2 days later? And then, she sent me the information. She was like, oh, well, you've dropped dramatically. And it was like only 0.3 away, for being in complete normal range. And so, she tried to tell me to take some other medications that, for one, the side effects is, problems with your liver and increasing your blood pressure. And I'm like, no, I just went from, I told you all I never had high blood pressure. So I just proved it to you. And I went from that to, where I am now. So why would I want to go on something that's going to elevate my blood pressure again?
Right.
So it was kind of like one of those things like, okay, I'm agreeing, but I don't really want to take you off the metformin. So let me put you on this then, and
Unbelievable.
I called Pop and Ro. I was like, let me just tell you how this went. This had something else in my chart that I would have never known about if I didn't look at my chart that we had talked about. And I was like, what is this? So I had to look it up, and I was like, what is it? But of course, she ran some labs for that, and nothing, it was no findings for it. And so then she reluctantly agreed, not to do the metformin. And then she was just like, well, just keep doing what you're doing then. And so
you guys are the shock tower system. It's actually a blessing. I know it's frustrating to y'all. I know it's frustrating. Look at all y'all faces. All y'all looking at me like, why?
I know, right? I'm just like, look, but what if she didn't know?
Right.
Listen, look, only because Consuela has been informed. I mean, what about the millions of people who are not informed?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I'm just trying to fix y'all faces right at this second. Look, everybody watching like, see, that's why I don't go to the doctor right now. You see what she just saying right there? That's why I'm telling you. But listen.
Oh, my goodness.
Look, my hands up, y'all. Look.
Okay.
I do agree. We have to do better at educating. It's the legalities, the algorithms, everything else. There's so many different reasons why we do what we do. But one of them is we really are trying to save lives. And you guys are a shock to our system because like I said, there's the 80% that's going to say they're going to do it and they don't, and they still come back with these numbers, right? And then there's still like this 10% that's right in the middle, like they should. And there's these 10% that are like, hey, I'm giving it all I got. You're going to see. And then we see, right? But for those people that are still, like I think we talked about it too in the last call, what the underlying diagnosis of diabetes leads up to, the complications, is too great to jeopardize. It's too great. I want to say myocardial infarction, and y'all gonna be like, Didi talking homegirl terms.
Heart attack. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So for us, right, a heart attack, and then give you stroke, medicate. You understand what I'm saying? So for us, we're like, if you don't change right now, this could be the complication of it. I'm not saying all the time we get it right, because we're not perfect too. I'm just saying that it helps. Consuela, you had like the grenade, and you like, boom, I got my. Let me tell you where you won at. And like I said, these are diamonds that fell in your lap, man. Coach Rowe and Pops, man, y'all coming with it. First of all, you had your glucometer and you had readings, right? Second of all, you had information. You knew what was normal, what wasn't normal, and what's been going on with your body over this extended period of time that you've been, not only on the program, but also like, you're to the point to where I know I'm not even feeling medications. So this is my drive. So you got drive. And then, knowing I really don't have high blood pressure. My husband tells people all the time, I go into that office and then my blood pressure goes up. Right. I'm scared for what you're going to find. So it helps for you to have a blood pressure machine at home. Tell me show me before you come into the doctor's office. You made the appointment 4 weeks ago. Come on, now help me out. The little blood pressure medicine.
And that's what I had to start doing too. I did that and showed her that too.
Exactly, because then it's away from this kind of chaotic office. Of all of these things are ammo for me to say, okay, I believe Consuela. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. This is what she's been doing. This is my diet and exercise deal. I've been doing Coach Rose hits. I've been doing these walks for so much. You know what I mean? Most people who are telling, if you come in with these viable things, we're like, okay, well, let's look at some things that maybe we can start changing. I'm not saying we're always perfect. I'm not saying we'll always get it right. But what I am saying is that I will, you know, look at those things and make a decision that, hey, Consuelo is winning right now. She doesn't need A, B, or C. It could be more hurt than harm. And that's what we're here in the community to do, is to help, not hurt. So I congratulate you. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for the changes that's happening. And I'm excited to see where where you go throughout the program the next 30, we have 60 more days.
Yeah, well, the she's on the 6-month program.
Oh, 6 months.
She's on the 6 month.
Better.
Yeah, she's on
be
the
a whole
6
new
month.
person in 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. She's already a new person. That's the beauty. They're already new. When I tell you, it's like when you give your body what it needs to thrive, it will. I just can't say that enough, because everybody's brand new. Everybody got a new mindset, a new attitude. You know, at Patty LaBelle, they got a new attitude. You know, and a new body. I mean, really, you know, and I just think about cells, you know, I'm like, yeah, cells are, there's some new cells up in there. There's some different cells, you know. So yeah, I'm excited for you, Consuelo. I'm excited for you, your family, you know, and for anybody who's watching, anybody who knows Consuelo and knows her journey or whatever. This is a different Consuelo, going in a different direction. And I shouldn't say a different, well, I can say a different direction, still going after what she wants in life. But I mean, as far as her health, a different direction. So, and it's just, this thing is about encouragement, you know, because there's so many people out there who've lost hope. You know, they feel like they're in a hopeless situation. Like she said, her doctor told her it was irreversible. Can you believe it? Irreversible. And if she's been told that, I can only imagine how many other people have been told the same. And I'm here to say, type 2 diabetes. This is proven that type 2 diabetes is both preventable and reversible through nutrition and exercise. Is that correct, Dr. Didi?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. And I'm not the end all. You can YouTube it, Google it, Wikipedia it. You can, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, definitely educate yourself. Listen, we are not telling you to stop your medications.
Not at all.
Educate yourself and then go see your doctor.
Exactly. Because if you get into a diabetic emergency or whatever, it is a life-threatening event. And you can't just listen and say, oh, I'm going to do that, and not have the support, not have the information, not have the education, and not have your doctor's support. Because to be honest with you, it's not just one number they're looking at. It's a collective amount of things. And guys, to be honest with you, it's a pandemic. Obesity is a pandemic, diabetes, high blood pressure, especially in our culture. So we who look like this is not just one thing. It's not just one. We're not just looking at just this HbA1c. We're taking all of these collective labs and we're looking at you and saying, hey, this is how you're shaping, you know, your next your next few years if you don't do A, B, or C and make these changes that, you know, Coach Rowe and them are putting into, you know, some very doable, you know, programs, which, you know, is life changing and life reform to me. You know, and also, you know, it's such a huge benefit, you know, to families and everybody to be educated by.
Yeah, and if I could just add this too, you know, because I know people are probably still wondering, like, well, like, what are they doing? Like, why is this different? I would just say that I was watching a video from Dr. Berg, and he was saying that a lot of doctors today are really focused on your blood sugar, right? Just your blood sugars. They're not really addressing the insulin resistance, right? And so the same thing when Pops was in the hospital, they're giving them the insulin and doing these things and you know, kind of bring down his blood glucose, right? His blood sugar. And then when the nutritionist came and they said he could eat these things, it was kind of like Weight Watchers where it had a point value, like different foods or whatever. And I'm like, oh, so you got him on this medication. It's kind of like you got him on this medication to keep his numbers, you know, I guess low or acceptable, and you give him this food that he can eat is going to elevate his blood glucose. So you got this medication to keep him low, because if he eats clean, as we saw with Consuelo, if he eats clean, he's going to drop too low and almost have a hypoglycemic, you know, episode. And so it's like, but they were treating the blood glucose. They were not treating the insulin resistance, right?
And in the hospital, they're
yes.
not
Yeah, and so what we're doing in this program, we are actually, and I don't want to use the word treat, we are actually helping to affect the insulin.
We're addressing.
That's the word. Okay, I don't want to use the word treat. We are addressing the insulin resistance, not just the blood, glucose, and that's what's making a difference, and that's why Consuela and the other two ladies that you all will see later on this week, that's why they were on medication and been able to chip away at those glucose stores, and now they are not. And so, I just want to throw that out there. But I see people are asking questions. Guys, click the link, set up a meeting, a consultation, so that we can see if you're a good fit for the program and if we're a good fit for you.
And I just wanted to just put that out there, guys. When Coach Ro is talking about the hospital treatments, and we have you on insulin drips, and it's an emergency. It's different. It's life-saving.
Absolutely.
When you go to the clinic, when you're in the clinic or you go into a doctor's office, then this is when we're starting to do educate. Like, it's when we're supposed to be educating. You're supposed to be talking. That's why they say consult. It's a different level. So when Pops went to the hospital, we're saving his life. He's on insulin drips, and we can't put him in a hypoglycemic. Hypoglycemic is almost worse than having elevated blood sugars, because you can go into a coma. It's and trying to fix it if you don't have, we shoving glucose in your vein. It's a very different balance. I'm not saying a nutritionist was right as far as when you go home to keep these foods up, but when you're trying to close these gaps and making sure that we normalize extremely high blood sugars, there's certain things that they have to do in the hospital to preserve life, but also give you treatment. So it's different in the hospital. When you go to your doctor's office, though, these are some things that we can start talking about, watching these numbers, and start talking about some insulin resistance things. Does that make sense? I just wanted to make sure I cleared that up. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything you had to say, Pops, before we wrap it up?
No, I'm good. I want to thank Dr. D again. You're just so.
You guys are amazing.
Dr. D, the elite MD. We appreciate
the elite MD. I love it.
Swella, we appreciate you getting out of your comfort zone.
Swella, you're amazing.
Come in and share. Welcome to the club of not wanting to be out in front. And hey, the thing is, it's a worthy cause, because you never know whose heart and whose lives you're going to touch. And I count it an honor and a privilege to be in this position where my life can mean something more than just my life. I could, and like I said, I could have easily went on with the rest of my life, and I won't say nobody would have cared, but I could have went on the rest of my life and never told anybody.
Right.
And it wouldn't have been a big deal. But just to be able to help you, just one person, it made it worth it. I mean,
it would have been a big deal, Pops. It would have been a really big deal, because I would still be swimming blind. If you hadn't shared. So it would have been a major deal, because who knows, what would have happened.
So thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me, for real, more than you know. Because I get emotional over stuff like this, because I know that it's making a difference. You know what I'm saying? I know it. And the thing is, I've always one of my biggest prayers, quite frankly, being in the hospital the way I was answered prayer. I just didn't know it, because I always been praying to God that I want to do something that mattered. I want to do something that really made a difference. And so, what better way than to do this? It's not like I keep using this example. It's not like I'm trying to sell you this great T-shirt or something. Hey, look at this T-shirt. Come get this T-shirt. This life-changing T-shirt. This is really making a difference. And so, I want to tell as many people as I can. It's millions of people out there that have been diagnosed with diabetes. And in my small little world right here, to be able to help the people that I'm helping, I'm grateful. I'm over the moon about it. But you might be called upon again, not necessarily by me, by somebody that may have heard you or seen you today. And you're going to be a person that's going to provide some encouragement to someone, some motivation to someone. I'm just a normal person. I'm not like a movie star A-lister, telling somebody to do something, not Denzel or something. I'm just me. And so people look at me as a regular individual. They look at you as a regular individual, and they can relate. This is real. And so I'm glad to be a part of this. And I know that you're not going to be able to get rid of us. So,
Coach Ro, Pops, I'm telling you guys are phenomenal. Just how you interact together, the teamwork. I mean, Coach Ro is doing this whole program with Pops. Y'all, Coach Ro, I know she on the underline, but I'm talking about this is it's a beautiful thing to watch you guys. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of the audience and experience it, from this side of the window. It's a beautiful thing. Consuela, I'm geeked about you. I can't wait to hear more of your numbers, more of your success stories. I'm excited. I'm rooting for you. And not just rooting for you because, you need a cheerleader, but I'm rooting for you because I know people that are watching this that look like you or you. They're like, okay, I'm identifying with, some of her things. She was stressed and everything else. I'm going through that right now, but she got back up and she started running. And that terrain got easier, and maybe it might get a little bit harder, but you're doing it. And so hats off. And I'm just saying, Mom and Pops, you guys keep doing what you're doing. I know you're going to impact more and more lives. And I'm just happy to be, a peanut in the party, man. I'm excited for you guys.
You're a big nut. You're a big nut in the party.
Yeah.
You're a big part of it, Dr. Didi. Honestly, we you know how we feel about you, so yeah, you're a big part of what I mean, who only God knows what this will turn into. But I know, we feel like we are definitely doing what God has called us to do, right? And so, and it's changing lives. And so we're excited about it. So for those that are watching, thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you know anybody, if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, if you know anybody that's diabetic or pre-diabetic, please, encourage them to set up a consultation, right? And let's talk about it. Let's see if, again, you're a good fit for the program, or if we're a good fit for you. You got something, Consuela?
Yeah, I was just going to emphasize the pre-diabetic part, because mine, I don't have a diagnosis of diabetes, but who's to say, I couldn't have gotten there, And so if you are pre-diabetic, let's prevent it. Let's prevent from don't take the next step towards diabetes. Let's go ahead and reverse it while you're, still ahead. So definitely, I know you've heard, type 2 diabetes, DKA, but pre-diabetes, let's prevent it. Don't even go. Don't cross that threshold. And
that's awesome.
I urge you, if you need to, if you're feeling led, don't be disobedient to that voice. Go ahead and contact Coach Ro, and get this thing started, and go in there with the mindset that you don't know it. You don't know it all. If you're one of those people like Dr. Didi was saying, I've done this before, get that out of your head and just go into this consultation. If you fit, stick to the script. Simple as that. And if you do, like I said, it's not hard. It's just acclimating yourself to a new habit. So it's not hard. Go after it. You're worth it.
Amen.
That's it.
Amen.
That's it. For sure. So that's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Listen, tomorrow we have another great panelists with tomorrow's gonna be fired up. We got Mama Ruth Braxton tomorrow. It's gonna be fired up. That's lots of energy. I'm sure she's watching now. It's gonna be but all of them. We got Ruth Braxton on Wednesday. Thursday we got LaShane Glenn, and then Friday we have Beverly Lucas. And so all with their own unique stories and all powerful stories. And I'm sure you all will be amazed. And I'm just grateful. So that's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Listen, this is Rochelle T. Parks. I am your health motivator. Still, I'm still your health motivator. Y'all know what I'm going to say, whether you like it or not. I really don't care. Okay. I will, and I must continue to walk alongside you and help you to achieve optimal health.
Hey guys, before you go, I just want to let you know I am hosting a 7-day fruit and vegetable challenge on the first of the month. Guys, I do it every month. I've done it for the last 2 years. You say, right, why do I need that? Well, let me tell you what can happen in 7 days. In just 7 days, you can rid your body of the addiction to sugar, the addiction to salt. You can get rid of inflammation in the body. Guys, you can get mental clarity. You can sleep better. So many great things can happen in just 7 days. So don't delay any longer. Go ahead and click the link below and go ahead and sign up. We're getting started on the 1st, okay? I'll see you on the 1st. Let's go.